Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a story time, but it's going to be multiple stories together. I am a firm believer in being able to laugh at yourself, and I am also the kind of person who things tend to happen to. And I never know if it's like things happen to me more than others, or if I just share them more than other people feel comfortable to because they don't want to like share their embarrassing moments. But I'm a firm believer in sharing those stories, and hopefully even if you have a moment of like embarrassment or something like that, you can take it, use it as a good story and move forwards. So as some of you may know, I'm a musician, and being a singer and being on stage in front of people and just trying to create things and putting yourself out there comes with a lot of opportunity to embarrass yourself. It's kind of like, you know, when people say they have those dreams where like, you know, you're on stage and you forgot your clothes or something like that. So obviously it doesn't get, I haven't had anything like that, but you know, I feel like it's the kind of thing where you know the possibilities, like, you know, like, okay, this could go wrong and this could go wrong. But usually in life, I feel like you think about those things and it's like, okay, well, they probably won't happen. But I do think the more you're on stage, the more likely these things are going to happen, just because like at some point, something's bound to go wrong. So without further ado, here are my biggest music fails. So we're going to start with young Shifra. Now, when I was 11 years old, I saw a woman who was also called Shifra playing the drums at something that was in my school. And I was like, oh my God, I need to learn the drums, even though I had never really thought about learning drums before and I was a singer. But I decided, you know what, this is my calling. I'm going to be a drummer. So I was like one of the only girls in the school who was learning the drum kit, and I remember just being like, oh, this is so cool. It was just me and one other girl, and she was the year above me, and then eventually she like went to high school and I was like the only one for a bit. And it was fun. Like in my school I was in the band. I know that like maybe that's not the coolest thing, but to me that felt like really awesome. So I was like a super nerdy kid. I will insert a picture here, and I thought I was really cool. I was like, I'm a drummer, I play in a band, I play in the school band, everything's great. And every year in my primary school, we would have an instrumental concert. Whenever I like talked to my mum about the instrumental concerts that we used to have, she used to be like, oh my God, we had to sit through so much recorder. And I feel like those kinds of primary school events are usually like that, but I was like, I am going to slay. Like, I am gonna get up there on my drum kit and just blow everyone away. Now, at this time, there was also a guy, actually, I think I was 10, because there was this guy who I really, really had a huge crush on, and he was the year above me, so I was in year 5, he was in year 6, I know, scandalous. And I was like, not only am I gonna blow away the whole school, I am gonna make him fall in love with me. I mean, like, it's kind of like in Love Actually when that kid learns how to play drums just to like impress the girl who's singing. So this guy wasn't singing, but I knew he was gonna be in the audience, and I was like, it's time. So the way that our school stage used to be was like different blocks, and you kind of like attach them together. I don't know if they were attached with like hinges or screws or something like that. But that's what we had every time we had like a play or the instrumental concert or anything like that. I remember before the show, I was like, oh my God, like this is my moment. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be so great. But also I was so scared. I actually had terrible stage fright as a kid, and I still do like a little bit, but I mean, I perform so much now that it gets much better. I still get scared, but I had like really bad stage fright. So I think before I was just like super nervous, and I was like, what happens if my plan doesn't work? And you know, I was quite theatrical back then. And I remember they called my name. I remember standing like in the wing, well, not really the wing, it was like in the school hall, but it felt like the wing to me. I stood like at the side of the stage, and they called me up, and they said, I think the song I did was called like Cherry. Oh my God, what was the song? Wait, I think the song I was doing was called like Cherry Lane or Cherry something. I don't remember. I'm gonna find it. But I remember like it was like do 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 do, and then the drums would be like, and I was like, I know off by heart. It's gonna be great. Don't even need to look at the notation. So yeah, I'm waiting in the wings. They call my name, and I get up on the stage. I'm like, okay, it's my time. And my drumming teacher was like sitting by the drum kit. I remember he was like waiting for me there. I literally made eye contact with the guy that I liked. I like found him in the audience. I looked at him, and then unfortunately, one of the screws or hinges that brought the stage together was either not attached or just very loose on one of the stage blocks. I remember just being like, I'm getting towards the drums. It was like The stage started here and my drums were like over here, so I had to stand on the stage and like walk all the way. And yes, my foot came into contact with the unattached stage block, and the stage block literally like slid to the side, and I remember just being like, woo! Like I don't even know what noise I made. Don't want to say I flew, but I definitely glided, not I slipped on the stage and I caught myself. I did catch myself, but that was after making like a weird noise of me like whoop, and like everybody watching and seeing it. I remember just being like, I can't believe this is happening, can't believe this is happening. Like I was pretty young, so it's like my first kind of like stage experience, and it was not the most positive. I fell. And then like the thing is that was at the beginning. I had to like be like, I slipped, everybody saw me, all of the school, all the teachers, the parents, they saw me slip. And now I just have to walk to the drums and play whatever cherry, whatever it's called, and pretend like it's fine. And I remember thinking in my head, like, oh my God, I ruined it with this guy. I slipped. And yeah, the end of that story is that I asked him out and he said no. So I think I was like, we should get pizza. And he was like, nah. So don't fall on stage because your childhood crush won't go out with you. No, I'm kidding. But I do remember that as being like my first kind of like big fail. And I had stage fright before that, so I don't think it really made me like more scared. But I was like, I'm not forgetting this. Next, we have something that was on quite a larger scale. So when I was in high school, I was a participant in a choir called the Jerusalem Youth Chorus. It's an Israeli-Palestinian music and dialogue group. And honestly, I had some of the best times in my life being part of that group. We traveled, we did amazing things, and I'm still involved with them today. I'll put a link to our stuff down below. And in 2015, our group was invited to the United States from Jerusalem to perform on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Now, I remember being like so excited. I was like, this is just so crazy, and how do we have this opportunity? It was the UN's International Day of Peace, and the Pope was in the US at that time, and I think the show wanted something that kind of like gave people hope and was about like the peace building field, so they invited us to come and perform on the show. Before we got there, they had told us, you know, we're going to be in these really cool gowns, and it's going to be kind of like, I was picturing like kind of gospel sort of gowns, and I was like, okay, that's awesome. Like, I really want to do that. We learned Joy to the World, which is the song that's like, Jeremiah was a bullfrog. But it was a more like classical version of that. It was an interesting arrangement. Anyway, we had parts that we had to learn. There were other choirs that were going to be performing with us. Honestly, the trip was like a dream. It was amazing. And when we got to the day of the show, like we went into the studio, and it was just so cool to see that kind of thing. I don't think any of us would have had that opportunity otherwise. Then we had to start prepping for the show. So we didn't have like a makeup person or anything, and we said that one of the girls in the group was going to do our makeup for us. I think a lot of people in the group had like experience with like theatre and theatre makeup, and I think it's a little bit different when you're on TV, but we were like, the more makeup the better, like we need it to be seen. The best way I can describe it is that we ended up looking like two-dimensional, but I think at the time we were like, oh, this is great, it's perfect, it's amazing. And then we went to do a dress rehearsal. The other choirs were amazing, and it was like really classical, so it was very different for us because we were used to sort of like either Western pop music or like Middle Eastern Arabic music, or, you know, Israeli music. And we had like one rehearsal, and then, you know, we did our makeup, we got ready, and then they brought in the outfits. I was wrong about what I thought the gowns were going to be. Actually, we ended up wearing these, and I don't know what the actual term is, but I guess like it reminded me of like what people wear in a monastery, where it's like the long robe with like a rope tied around the belt. And I think it just wasn't what we were expecting, and everyone was wearing it. So, you know, we were like, okay. And I think that was the main thing. I think if we would have known that, it would have been like that from the beginning. But I guess like all of us, like our imaginations run wild, and it was like, I was picturing like electric blue gown or something. And then I was like, okay, a rope. And I'm like building up the story. The embarrassing thing has not even happened yet. And we're getting to the part in which I had a fail on TV in front of probably like more than 1 million people. So while they were doing the taping, we were sitting in the green room and everyone was getting ready, all excited. And eventually they called us up. They said, we'll do a take, and then, you know, we'll see how it goes. And if we need to do another take, we'll do another take. So they called us out. Like, Stephen Colbert was there. I was just like, this is so cool. I have to just say, as a side note, Stephen Colbert was so sweet with us. Like, he was so, so nice. So Stephen Colbert called us out. We came out on the stage. The audience, it was like electrifying. Like, I remember just being like, wow. Like, because I'd been on stage before, but this was like, you know, an audience that was really there to be an audience and to like pump up everyone on the stage, and it was really, really good. So important to note that we decided that we were going to be like singing angelically at the beginning, and we were going to hold our hands kind of like this but in front of us. Yeah, we were supposed to drop our arms at a certain point in the song. Now I think like I'd gone on the stage and I was just really excited and like overwhelmed, and I was like, don't forget your part and like do everything right. So I was like focused on getting the part right, and I wasn't thinking about my hands at all, and everybody dropped their hands obviously, and I didn't even notice. I had no idea. Like 20 seconds later you kind of see me just be like. So I had a mishap on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. So I had a mishap on a late night show, which I really hope I can one day be on a late night show again and kind of redeem myself. One of the best parts was that my friend was standing next to me, and they were like, they had noticed that I hadn't done it, and they were like, in the video of the performance you can see them like looking at me trying to be like, drop your hands, and I am so clueless. I have no idea what's going on. And then in the comments afterwards, I remember everyone was like, why is this person stressed because I made a mistake. Comments could be, people do read your comments. I remember just being like, why are people saying this? Someone was even like, hey, that fifth girl from the left looks really awkward. I was like, no. Oh, I just spilled my tea again. And there we have story number 2. So please take this as a sign that if you do end up messing up on stage in front of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, you can overcome and you can be okay. Next up, we have another choir story, and now this is honestly worse than the hand situation, but it was in front of less people, so I don't know. It's hard to weigh out the options of like which one. I think this one felt worse. So a couple of years ago, we were invited by an organization to sing Viva la Vida in front of like 2,000 people in this outside, I guess, gathering that they were having. I already know Viva la Vida. It's like a song that I kind of grew up with, and I was so excited when I got the solo. I was like, oh my God, like, it's gonna be great, and I love this song. So I had the second verse, and like I didn't feel like as confident in it, because I feel like everybody knows the first verse, and then the second verse, I guess like it wasn't like, I didn't know it like off by heart, so I had to just kind of learn it. But then I felt fine about it. There was another girl in the group that was doing the first solo, and we were practicing together, and she was like, what happens if I forget the words? And I was like, you're not going to forget the words, it's going to be fine. And I remember she like wrote some of the words on her hand, and I was like, really good idea. But in my head I was like, I'm not going to forget the words, so I don't need that. Famous last words. As we were getting on the stage, I was like, I've blanked. We were on the stage. I remember like being really excited for her to sing the first verse, and then she like got through it. She didn't even look at her hand, and it was amazing. And I was like, yay, she did it. I did not remember any part of the song. I don't know if it was like anxiety or I don't know what happened. I think it was anxiety. I think the nerves just like got the better of me, and I know that happens, but I was really not expecting it. So it gets to my part, and I step forwards, you know, as you do with the solo. We had like our own mics, and I stepped forwards knowing I didn't know the words, and I was just like, I think I said a bit of the first verse. I think I said a bit of ums and ahs, and then it was really sweet. The girl that had done the solo actually like stepped forwards and sung with me, and then I kind of picked it up. I was just like, I've forgotten the words in front of 2,000 people. And it's really the only time that's ever happened to me. I feel like usually like I'm really good. I like take pride in my lyric memorization skills. They just went completely out the window. I don't know what happened there. I feel like it does happen to everyone. Forgetting lyrics in front of thousands of people, do not recommend, but also it happens to probably everybody who's ever had to sing on stage. Next up is the Kia car company fail. I got an email from somebody who wanted to collaborate, and they told me that Kia, like K-I-A, are looking for musicians to collaborate on a song. And this guy was a producer, and he asked me if I wanted to write a song for the competition. I was like, sounds great. When I heard Kia, I automatically thought the car company. So I thought the car company was doing like something for like an advertising campaign or something like that. I have a degree in music production, and I just did not know about Kia, the music company. So I'm like, okay, what kind of song would Kia car company want for their advertising campaign? So I was like, I'm going to make it like clever. I'm going to use words like cruising and like driving and getting to some destination. Oh my God, wait, I should find it. 1 second. Okay, I found it. I'm going to play it and just let it speak for itself. So it's really called Take a Ride. I don't have the music anymore on my computer, so we're just going to listen to the vocal. Let's be free and go for a ride. Let's be free and go for a ride. I think the music was like,
escape is on. Take a ride with me. It's on escape.
my vision, I was like, cars let you run away and escape and have freedom, so
Calling our escape, it's our take a ride with me. It's our escape. Yeah.
needless to say, it was not about a car company. And when I sent it to the guy and I was like, oh my god, I thought this was about a car company, he was just like, what? But I think we did get into like the top 20 or the top 10, so maybe it worked a little bit, but I was wrong. Come on, this is the new number one.
Escape, it's our take a ride with me. It's our escape.
Anyway, lastly, but very much not leastly, is a couple years ago I was writing a song. I really liked it. I got to sort of like the bridge part of the song and I wanted to do like vocal layering. I'm a really big fan of doing that, so I wanted to do something, and I wanted there to be like a really hooky sort of line that started off that section. So I was trying to figure out what kind of melodic line will go here that will be really like an amazing hook and that people will really connect to and listen to. And I played around with a bunch of things until I found something that I was like, I have hit the jackpot. I remember I went to my mum, I was like, listen to this, like I've got to tell you what this is. I really think like I've struck gold. Now, a few weeks before this, I had watched the film Rocket Man, which is the Elton John biopic. And I guess the songs from the movie were like really ingrained in my head. So I thought I had come up with the following melody. And I was really proud of it. Na 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 na. So I did think that I came up with na 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 na, and I was like, this is so catchy. My mum was even singing it afterwards. I was like, oh my god, you have my song stuck in your head. And she was like, no, that's Crocodile Rock by Elton John. And I was like, no, it's not. It can't be. This is mine. Anyway, needless to say, it was Crocodile Rock, and I was very upset for a second, and then I was like, you know what, no, I'm gonna write something else. So the actual melody is different. If you want to hear that track, I'll put it down in the description below. But yes, I almost copyrighted Elton John. I feel like that's just something that happens sometimes when you've listened to a lot of music and sometimes you don't remember what you've heard something from, so you think it's your idea, and then like that's why it's really good to show other people and to send your music to other people, because they'll be like, wait, this really sounds like this other song, because you can be totally convinced that it's your own melody, which is what happened to me. And I even know that song really well, it just like didn't click for me. But hopefully the new version is still good. It's not as good as that, but it's okay. I've come to terms with it. Thank you for joining me on this storytime journey, going through some of my most embarrassing music fails. I also like how I spilled my tea in the middle of this video, just to kind of be like, I am like that. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so I would really, really appreciate it. If you want to follow me on other social media or support my Patreon, I will put everything in the description below. And I hope you have an amazing week, and I hope you enjoyed laughing a little bit with me.